showing the customers the data, having it be in third-party verified, and then explaining it to them in a way that they can get it. If you nerd out and you go above and beyond trying to explain things, it can make things go the opposite way. The best salespeople are great educators, and if you educate your customer well, they're gonna buy. You don't have to sell.
The home services industry is changing, and the business owners who adapt will lead it. We bring contractors and industry leaders together to break down what's actually working. Data, operations, and strategies that drive results. This is Beyond the Truck Roll.
Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Truck Roll. I'm your host, Kyle, and I'm super excited today because I'm here with, I think, a celebrity, to be honest. I'm with Brynn, who is affectionately known as the Air Doctor. Brynn, how's it going, man?
I am good, Kyle. How are you?
Doing all right. Before we get into you kind of explaining a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got that awesome nickname, I got to say, man, finding information about you was pretty hard because it seemed like every single line was an award that you were getting. And so I was like, man, Lord of mercy, this guy's got so many awards. But no, it's truly fantastic. I was reading all about you. Your success precedes you. So I'll shut up and kind of let you kind of dig into who you are and how you got started in the HVAC and energy space.
Well, Kyle, thank you for that compliment. Thanks for having me. I can't take that credit. I got an awesome team that supports me. I just happen to be the one everybody sees, but no, all the work from the Air Doctors and HVAC team are behind me to make us successful as a family. So thank you for that. I've been in the industry for about 24 years. My parents, they started a heating and cooling company. Kind of long story short, I took it over 2014 and I started to grow it. So right now we're about 30 employees total, and we're in a couple states. So right now our headquarters is in Southeast Michigan, and we have a metro Atlanta, Georgia area market that we're growing pretty much now. We're a home performance contractor, so our business approach is to when customers engage with us, we like to do what's called a home energy audit. And we'll evaluate that customer's home or business, and we'll do all this diagnostic testing. And when we're done, we'll create a report, propose some solutions, and then the customer will try to get the customer to adopt those solutions based on what their needs were. And when we're done with that and we implement those retrofits, we test out and show the customer we hit our mark. That business, so we're technically called a home performance contracting business. So we have all four trades under one roof: electrical, building shell, HVAC, and plumbing. And my time is spent more on training home performance contractors to kind of show them how we do that. So my time is in HVAC doing content creation and training, and basically how to make contractors and other organizations more successful using building science is kind of the theme behind HVAC.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So when you say home performance, that means you kind of go in there and look at all of the trades, right, of the house and everything that includes, right?
That's fair. Yes. Look at it this way. The Department of Energy, they have some reports out that the typical American household is about 30% waste on their utility bills. So for every dollar you put in, you're only getting 70 cents out of that. And what we found in large metro cities like Detroit, where I'm from, is probably closer to 50%. So when we go for the whole house approach, we're looking at kind of solve three problems. First problem, we know that your bills are high, and it's from the end use perspective. So we look at weatherizing your building, adding insulation and air sealing. We look at properly sizing the HVAC equipment. We look at your appliances. Can they be upgraded? The other two things we're known for is comfort. So I'm sure everybody has a area in their house that they're not comfortable in. So we can fix that with our diagnostic testing. And then our favorite, my passion, is indoor air quality. So there's a link between a inefficient house or a tight house that wasn't designed properly and the pollutants that are inside the house that can impact respiratory health. So we're known to solve those problems also. So every single job we do, we're looking to solve those three issues.
Yeah, indoor air quality is a huge deal now. So how do you kind of like get into that with a homeowner whenever, because I don't speak for all homeowners, but I imagine most homeowners have no idea what that means other than like, oh yeah, air quality. Like I want to be breathing good air, right?
Yeah, very good question. So our process, our CSRs are customer service reps. they have a script that basically kind of sets the stage for what the technicians are going to do in the home. And
Mhm.
how we maximize our opportunities with indoor air quality, we test on every single call. So before we started, me, you were talking about maintenance agreements. So those customers we test. We also test for service calls in general. Our energy audits we test, and we have a monitor that we test indoor air quality. And the customers are actually extremely interested because a lot of them know something is wrong, but they can't quite put their finger on it. And then some customers just flat out ask, "What do we have to offer?" Because they're dealing with some type of respiratory ailment and they want to get some kind of relief. So it's one of those things that we were really surprised when we jumped into it if the market was there, but it's actually one of our most favorite things to do.
From our perspective, what we've learned with homeowners is that a lot of homeowners, to put it kind of bluntly, a lot of homeowners don't really care about HVAC until it breaks, and then they're screaming because it's 100 degrees outside.
Yep.
But I imagine that's kind of different with indoor air quality. Is that fair? Because I mean, indoor air quality, they may not know all the data metrics and like data points that go into it, but like I figure that they would know or care about the air quality versus like what's going on with their condenser outside and why it's not working, right?
Yeah, it's a different approach. IAQ is one of those things we find you have to let the customer know that they have the problem. I have to measure and show the customer you have these issues. This is a calibrated machine. These are the parameters. This is what you have. And then we're going to compare those numbers that you have to some type of vetted, well respected third party source like American Lung Association, World Health Organization, or EPA, somebody that's trusted in a community. So when we provide the customers with the data and we say that that parameter is not good, it's not a Brynn thing or Air Doctors thing. This is we're referencing the American Lung Association or American Heart Association. Once we let them know that they have the problem and how out of line it is, and then what really gets their attention, what the IAQ issue causes, then you see a lot of interest in getting that issue fixed.
Yeah, and I think you've said that before, like something about how you don't like to tell people to sell, but instead show evidence. So I'm guessing that's kind of part of the whole evidence piece, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, third party testing is has been our magic juice. People often ask, kind of what sets us apart, and it's the testing. It's actually showing the customers the data, having it be in third party verified, and then explaining it to them in a way that they can get it. If you nerd out and you go above and beyond trying to explain things, it can make things go the opposite way.
Yeah, and that kind of goes well with like for like my own story, for example, right? Like my compressor went out, or capacitor, sorry, not compressor. And whenever it went out, the tech was like, "Yeah, man, honestly, I'd recommend getting a new system and put in." And so I didn't know any better, right? I did a bunch of research as fast as I could, but ultimately, I got a new system, spent thousands of dollars. But in your evidence solutions, right, in your engineering solutions, whenever you're providing all this data to the homeowner, is that kind of prescription included? So you're like, oh, hey, your capacitor's out, but that doesn't necessarily mean you need a new system. We can put one in. Everything's, like, do you give them all of the readings, or is that kind of the agreement along all technicians where it's like, oh, if the capacitor goes out, that means that, you know what I mean? Like, how do you kind of get really detailed without being too salesy, I guess?
Very good question. Um, if we look at it from the perspective of a service technician, they're in the customer's home. We use a software platform called MeasureQuick, where the technician will deploy some probes. And MeasureQuick is great at getting a lot of data and aggregating it so that the technician can see the full picture. And then they have a provision called a system score. So with that system score, we can tell the customer exactly what's wrong with their unit, and we give them the option to repair it all, or we'll give them a comparable replacement if it's deemed necessary. Um, we let the customer decide, so we don't push them either way. We just give them the data, and with one thing about being thorough, um, you can get a really robust list of ethical solutions that the customer should think about. And a lot of times, if that list is pretty exhaustive, it may encourage them to make a decision like replacing it. And then when they replace it, we have control over the entire project. So, reason why that's important in Southeast Michigan, we ran a study in 2021 out of 3,880 houses, we found that 99% of them were grossly oversized by 100%, which is a huge bill implication to a customer. So testing shows a customer that they have those issues. If you don't test, then it turns into a sales pitch. So we're really good at getting the data and letting the customer decide.
Yeah, and forgive me for not knowing this right off the bat, but it sounds like you also do commercial and residential, right? So in that lane, is there one that's more popular if you're doing like a commercial building? For example, maybe it's their building, like doing like, energy efficient window installation, all that. That's probably more common in commercial than it is in residential. Then residential HVAC might be more, prominent than it is in commercial. Like, is there a difference, or does it just kind of vary, or is it kind of all similar? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, great question. We have a small commercial market that we interact with. It's existing clients that we service. It's probably 10% or less of our business.
Hmm.
Um, we have the capability. It's just we've gotten so good at repairing houses. That's just been our major focus. To answer your question, the way you approach them, they're the same, but they also can be different. So, for example, when you're looking at a residence, one of the big drivers of the heating and cooling load is attic insulation, wall insulation, air sealing,
Hmm.
those kind of things, and then properly sizing the equipment. With the commercial, you can have various levels of commercial. You can have retail applications. You can have large industrial warehouses where um, attic the insulation for the thermal boundary is important, but you also have a ton of equipment that produces a lot of heat. Like I remember looking at one job, one copier, commercial copier, is about the heat equivalent of 3 tons of air conditioning capacity. So you have a lot more things you have to look at on the commercial end. Um, so again, our market and our specific business, we don't market that as much, but we focus more on the residential side of it.
Got it. Yeah. Well, that's us too. So there we go. And if we roll back the tape, I'm curious. Like, do you remember the first thing that happened that kind of got you to fall in love with HVAC and the trades industry? Because I know you said you took over your parents' company, but like even going back further before that, like what kind of happened to where you're like, man, I like this? Like, was it just working with your hands? Did you, like what was the story there?
Working with my hands, and I was always a big science and math nerd. That was always fascinating to me, and the fact that I get to
God
deploy
bless you.
that. Thank you. Deploy that
That's
every
not
single
me.
day.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really what it was. I get to practice a industry where I get to apply science every day, so that was a big thing. Kind of more now. What really makes me love this industry is the benefits that we can do. I kind of go to work happy every day, knowing that I saved the customer a ton of money. I made them comfortable, and I improved their well being. You know, so you really can't beat putting good out in the universe, and it provides for you and your family. So I'm super honored and proud to be doing what I'm doing. um, One of the things I look at as far as the industry in a whole, just the altruistic aspect of it. One of the reasons I train is because I feel that other people should know and feel the way we do about helping people, but also providing for your family. So it's a full circle.
Yeah, totally. Um, You said something in training. I'm going to get all into the whole training part of your background and what you do now for that. But before we do, just to kind of wrap up the indoor air quality piece and want to ask one other question. But is there any symptom when you walk into a home, or just for general homeowners watching, that maybe they can identify that their air quality may not be the best? Like, I don't know, maybe a bunch of dirt around the vents that's going onto the walls. Like I don't know if that's one, but I'm just kind of throwing that out there. Is there any kind of like telltale sign that's easy for someone to identify that like maybe I should have someone come look at this?
Yeah, one of the things we do, we have a questionnaire that we ask, and one of my favorite questions on that questionnaire is, "How do you feel when you leave home and go to work?"
Hmm.
You go to another location, pretty consistent, and then how do you feel? Your asthma, does it occur at a certain period of time in a day? Like, is it the worst in the morning? Is it the worst at night? Is it the worst after dinner? And a lot of those things, when you sit back and think about it, if the customer can kind of identify maybe some context behind it, it lets us know that maybe something in the house is causing some issues. I
Gotcha.
look at a parameter like carbon dioxide. It can cause you to be lethargic. It can definitely cause some issues with cognitive health. So do you feel sluggish when you're at home? Maybe you have a lack of ventilation, you have high carbon dioxide. So there's definitely some things that you can start to pay attention to. And if you don't feel right, just get an indoor air quality assessment. And what that assessment is going to do is going to measure the air quality in your home. And oftentimes, if you work with a practitioner, they're going to start to implement solutions to help mitigate a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, that's like whenever I had my daughter, my wife freaked out and she put carbon dioxide sensors. We're like, there's so many sensors on in our house right now. It's like you're walking through the aisle at Home Depot. It's crazy.
Yep, that's awesome.
Uh, so last thing about that. So whether it's indoor air quality, whether it's just HVAC or, electrician work or whatever, what are your thoughts about AI and getting involved with that? And do you use AI in any of your engineering kind of analysis?
We love AI. We're embracing it. Like anything, it has to be used properly. We're starting to use AI and build. I say the best use for our business is to build automation. So some of the routine tasks that we have been doing can be automated. That's one of my favorite aspects of it.
Sure.
I do a lot of technical writing. I'm a columnist for Forbes, so a lot of times I'll use AI to help me do deep research. So when I'm writing about a topic, it can go out and kind of aggregate that information so I can write. So yeah, we embrace it totally. I'm not an expert for sure, but I am embracing it, and it's definitely made me more efficient at my job and doing things I need to do. So we're totally using it. The techs use it. One of the things that we're working on now is building a AI tech support agent where we can feed that AI agent all of our manuals from our equipment and then have the techs interact with that AI agent to get information pretty quick. So that's one of the things that we're piloting.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think everyone's gonna pretty much have to adopt AI or get used to it because it's not going anywhere. So like, it's kind of I had to ask that. Um, Lastly, do you have any work with like insurance companies with homeowners? Because like if you're doing all of this energy efficiency, right, and you're saving on their bill, is that helping you out with like insurance at all or premiums like that?
Maybe not insurance per se. Our business, we get revenue sources from a number of different ways. So we have a clientele of weatherization agencies. So, federal government, just about every county in the country gets some allotment of federal funds to weatherize homes,
Hmm.
which we all benefit from. So that we have those clients, we have utility customers that are required by their public service commissions to reinvest in energy efficiency programs. So we have those clients. We have community-based organizations that we work with, and then also we have our own private market. So as far as insurance companies, not directly, but what we do offer to our customers, whenever we do a deep retrofit, we like to give them some type of third party um, grading system just so that they can communicate the value of what we did to other people. So, like, we're a pro certified contractor. And what that means, if I go into your house, Kyle, and I did air sealing and insulation and I replaced your HVAC system, your house should be worth more. And the only way to do that is to document that we did that stuff in a way that maybe an appraiser or real estate person can understand. So, maybe not insurance companies directly, but with other organizations, we are trying to communicate that value.
No, that's awesome, man. You're making someone's home much more valuable and much more quality, if no pun intended, just to live there. So that's fantastic work you're doing. I had to ask just because I know other solutions that like if you have them installed, you can somewhat get a break on your home insurance with certain insurance companies. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there. But to switch gears, tell me about the training you do. I know you do a lot of training. I think you are a professor. So, like, how does that all? How does your teaching and training go? Do they go together? Do you do the same thing, or are they separate? Like, how does it all work?
So the training business, the part of my career, I work for the utility company, and one of my role was to train other employees at the utility company. And also, I got roped into training. I went back to my alma mater, and I wanted to thank my professors for training me, and just check in and tell them how I was doing. And they roped me back into teaching a couple nights as an adjunct professor, and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with it right away. I was able to help technicians understand concepts that I struggled with while I was in school. And what happened, I got such a dopamine hit of helping technicians kind of get that light bulb moment. I just continued to do it. So I got really excited and I put a lot of effort into it. And what happened, a lot of contractors who were sending their technicians to class, they would approach me separately and ask me to do maybe some skills sharpening sessions. And what
Mm.
that means, I would go into their office or shop. And instead of having a long, drawn out class for a semester, they'll say, "Hey, Brynn, our technicians are really struggling with wiring diagrams. Can you help us out?" And I'll go into a shop, in the morning or evening, whenever I could, and I would just focus on that for an hour or two, and the contractors would pay us. And that request was so frequent that we created a business just to capitalize on that. And then since then, that business has grown rapidly. So that's where I spend most of my time, and it's really they're two separate companies, but they have a complete symbiotic relationship. So as I'm going to train and teach, what happens, a lot of our students, they're not always contractors, they may be program administrators, and since they believe in the best practices that we're offering, they'll circle back and ask us to do work for their program. So it's where I spend the most of my time, and I totally enjoy it.
Yeah. Which one do you like training the most? Do you like training people up on HVAC or electrical work? Like, do you have a favorite?
Building science right now, we are a
Okay.
BPI test center, and um, we have a certification course where if you go to bpi.org, there's a organization out there, and what BPI does, they have a standard, and they have a panel of experts, and they make standardized procedures to weatherize houses or make houses more energy efficient. So that's my favorite class to teach by far. One, because especially from an HVAC tech's perspective, we teach them things that they didn't know about their own business. The opportunities that they're missing. So that's probably my most impactful. And then two, when they get their certification, it unlocks doors because being BPI certified is pretty prestigious, and it unlocks direct opportunities for like weatherization agencies or utility companies. So the fact that I can train them and it opens their eyes to opportunities, and then it gives them physically more opportunities to be successful. That's my most favorite.
I'll ask you the same question I've asked other contractors because I get different answers every time I ask it, which is just, it's fascinating to learn, right? When I ask them how they hire their techs for their company, for example, like I had a contractor the other week tell me, like, I don't care if they even go to school at all. If they have a good work ethic, they're willing to work, and they are good with their hands and they're dependable, I'll give them a shot because at the end of the day, I'll train them everything I know and they should be good. But on the flip side, like in your case, right, going through heavy amounts of school, really knowing your trades back like the back of your hand, like, are you kind of like in the middle, like you'll take either one, or do you prefer them to have a little bit of a head start and have some education behind it, and then you can take it from there? Or like, what's your kind of forte?
I like them totally empty.
Oh
Totally.
yeah, really?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I like them totally empty. And the reason why, because I have the training background, I feel that we can get you the training, our
makes
staff.
sense.
Yeah, so I feel that we can get somebody pretty fast tracked. What I look for is soft skills. So one thing, you can't train a person to be a good person, that you kind of have to be a good person. So I want people who are going to put customers first. They're going to be good communicators. They're going to be team players. So I look for temperament, soft skills, communication skills are my key. We seek hospitality workers all the time just because they have a lot of those skills managing customers. And then I feel like with our background in training, I can get fill in the gaps as far as that. So I like them totally blank. The reason why I don't have to deprogram any bad habits that can be, really ingrained.
Yeah, that's good. In that same kind of vein, though, which I totally get, having a blank canvas for you to paint on, so to speak, right? Like that's makes a ton of sense, especially whenever you're a professional trainer. So there you go. But if someone is looking to kind of get into the trades business, maybe they're in high school and they're about to graduate, like what would your advice to them be in terms of like, should they go to a certain college to learn stuff? Should they just pick up go to a trade school, or like you said, just go apply and intern somewhere? Like, what would you tell them to kind of help course correct them?
It's so many opportunities. I would say count all the above. What I found was really helpful is that we launched our own internal apprenticeship program where we
Mhm.
were hired the candidates, and when we hire them, we will walk them through our program and then professionally train them along the way. And their training was tied to raises and stuff like that. We got it certified by the Department of Labor. If you can get into an apprenticeship program, that is by far probably one of the fast tracks, and it's well structured, and you're going to be highly in demand with your skills.
Right.
If you can't get in one right away, I would start some type of trade school or community college program to get that rolling. But if you can find an apprenticeship program, I think those are some of the best opportunities because you're talking about instead of paying for tuition, you're going to work and learn at the same time. And when you're done, you can get a credential that makes you pretty marketable in the job market.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And on the flip side, what advice would you give to contractors that are just starting out? Maybe they're taking over their parents' company, right? It's a family-owned shop like yourself, or maybe they just are starting from scratch. Like, what would your advice be to them to help them get going? I've to kind of help you out. I've heard advice of like pick a trade and get really good and exceptional at that, and then expand, as opposed to just like, oh, I do plumbing, HVAC, and electrician, all of it at once, right? Like, you don't want to spread yourself too thin. But what would your advice be?
Yeah, for your average contractor, if you're looking to get into the building science arena, you're going to enjoy higher tickets, more profitable jobs. Your overhead is actually going to be less because you're not servicing that same customer base. And then you're going to get better referrals because you're going to actually fix a lot of customer problems that they didn't know that they can be fixed. It's a huge undertaking, and what I advise contractors when they're looking to branch out and get into the high performance side is to bite the elephant a piece at a time.
Yeah.
Um, Take some training, and then when you take some training, implement one thing and get really good at it. And then when you get really good at it, write procedures so other people can do it, and then eventually it'll become culture. If you're looking to hire and grow your business, a lot of the younger generations are people who are coming into the trades. Their emphasis isn't placed on money like maybe other generations. So you have to market the good that the work is doing for a lot of them to become interested. We found that to be the case. So, a high livable wage is important, is one of the top things. But, a lot of the newer technicians are looking for that growth. They're looking for that vertical integration where they can climb into the company. They're looking for the altruistic piece of it. So get savvy and maybe offer things like an apprenticeship program. When we started our apprenticeship program, it didn't cost us anything. We just had to fill out the paperwork, and we just had to promise the Department of Labor that we'll be fair in hiring and then
Mhm.
fair in delivering the wages that we promised that we would. And that was pretty much it. And then we got to organize our apprenticeship program. And when you do stuff like that, it opens up opportunities like grants that you can get that help to subsidize the training.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Uh, Man, that you're a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate all you're doing with apprenticeship programs and trainings. I think that's needed all over the place. So, I do want to ask this, and if you have to take a second to think about it, by all means, do so. But I know, and reading up on you, something I really liked was we already talked about, right? You said show them evidence instead of being over the top salesy. What's another, I hate to call it a problem, but what's another problem that you think a contractor might do and not even realize that they're doing it that actually can hurt, whether it's the relationship with their homeowner, whether it's the business? Like, what do you think is a common problem that they may not be aware that they're doing?
Um, that's a good question. Things I see, um, not communicating well with the customer and
Mm.
just showing the customer like sales literature and not describing to the customer the impact of what the new piece of equipment or new solution is going to provide. I find that the best salespeople are great educators. And if you
Mm.
educate your customer well, they're going to buy. You don't have to sell. You educate them well. It's almost not if they're going to buy from you. It's really they have to determine based on their budget what product they're going to buy from you. So that's one thing I see contractors, they don't spend enough time educating the customer. And then two, you have to do some kind of customer profiling. every customer is not going to be your customer. So you have to market in a way to try to attract those who are going to be interested in your solution. So that takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of time to get that kind of situated, but those are two common things I see contractors don't do well.
Yeah, I appreciate transparency the most, and I will go far and beyond and just completely give business to one specific contractor if they are, like you said, very educational and evidence based. For example, I had a clogged sink in my upstairs bathroom, right? And a plumber comes out and he's like, I know exactly what to do. I got to run this down there and like explain the whole process. And I was like, well, can I do that myself? Can I just go get something to fish out the sink? And he's like, we absolutely can, but I'm going down pretty far. And if you do that and you break something that's easy to do, you're going to have a whole lot more problems on your hands. And he's like, but it's up to you, right? He's like, I know that this could be kind of expensive to you right now, upwards of $300 or whatever it was. He's like, but I'll let you make that decision. If you want to try it yourself, go for it. But like him telling me that was like, okay, maybe I
Yeah,
should not do
absolutely.
it. My
Yep.
So I appreciate that. Cool, man. Well, what is a typical day in the life for the air doctor? Like? Do you wake up and it's training in the morning, it's school in the afternoon? Like, what does a typical day look like for you?
Typical day for me, it depends on what we got going. If I'm training, is usually I'm at the training facility or at my office training, pretty much from 8 to 4:30. Executing the training. If it's not training, I'm supporting a contracting business, maybe by training the employees, or if we get busy, I might step in and do some sales. I might go and become a
Hmm.
comfort advisor. So to support the contracting business, I'll kind of do whatever they need help with. If they're good and I don't have any training going on, then really my time is spent in content creation, making videos and
Nice.
making LMS videos and training videos and writing articles and stuff like that. So that's the bulk I spend my time.
Yeah, and speaking of, I want to learn more about how you got the nickname Air Doctor. Like, can you please give me that story? What, even if it was like I named myself the Air Doctor because I am a badass and I know everything. Like, so like I want. It's one of the coolest nicknames I've ever heard. So,
Thank you. It came from a utility company. I was working on a system, and I was one of the last guys called to kind of figure out what was going on with this large commercial air conditioner. And it was one of those problems. It was real unique, and it was really kind of tough to find out. So I had a bunch of instruments hooked up to this large air conditioner, and I was checking all these things, and I ended up repairing it. And when I repaired that system, I had a stethoscope on me that I used to check bearings. And when I was checking the bearings and I had all these instruments hooked up, my coworkers deemed me the air doctor. One, because I was able to fix it, and then I actually had a tool to check sounds for bearings. So that's where it came from.
that's awesome.
Yep.
Just stuck from there, huh?
Just stuff from there.
Nice. I like it. What was the name of the company that you took, your parents' company that you took over? What was the name of it before you named it Air Doctor?
It was called Air Design Heating and Cooling, and that was a cool name too. But however, there was a shop across town that had a similar name,
Hmm.
and what happened? There was a lot of confusion. So between that shop and ours, we were buying parts on each other's accounts inadvertently. Like the
Oh
supply
man,
house person would get it mixed up. We were getting mail from them, and then vice versa. And it
nothing can
be
solve needs too, right? Like
yeah,
marketing, people
absolutely.
fixing
Yep.
need, right?
All right. So, with that being said, it was when I assumed control. I wanted to keep my parents' legacy, but we changed the name to Air Doctors just to reflect the cutting edge stuff that we were looking to do that we're doing currently today.
So, did your father or mother start it, or was it their parents that started it? Like, is there a long lineage of the ownership, or
It was my parents that started together. Yep. My
okay, nice.
father started heating and cooling. He went to school for it in the early 1980s, and then in the early 1990s is when he officially launched the business. So actually, it was at 1989 when he got his license and started the business. So business is pretty close to 40 years old, and it was my parents that originally started, Bobby and Peggy Cooksey, and I went on jobs with them as a child. So I was physically 2, 3, 4 years old. Standing next to a furnace, passing my father tools, and so it's HVAC is more than a business for me. A lot of my time spent with my family was actually on a job, so it's kind of a part of my DNA.
That's awesome, dude. And I don't want to get too far ahead, but I imagine I'm wondering if your kids are going to be that way, right? We're like, Daddy, I want to go to work with you, right? Get in the truck, right?
It's actually happening where my children are super interested in what I do, and so much so, if the schedule lines up where I'm speaking at a conference and they're out of school, or if it's a weekend, they'll come with me. And a lot of times, we'll ask the conference host if they can watch the class I might be teaching, and they'll sit in it and take notes. And they've been doing this probably since they were 5 or 6, and they have specific questions for me after the fact. And then
That's
if I,
awesome.
yeah, if I tinker at home, run a blower door test, or do something like that, they're right there on my hip trying to figure out what's going on. And recently, now we're in the summertime. This is July. Um, I teach a hybrid course where some people across the country will, zoom into our class. My son, both kids were with my wife, and they got a hold of the link, and they actually tuned in and were taking the quizzes and stuff as we were going through. So there seems to be a lot of interest there, and I'll love for them to pick up the mantle and keep going.
Yeah, for sure, right? Definitely want to pass that along. How cool is it to be able to not have to call a contractor when something goes wrong in your own house? Because you're the man, right? So it's like, oh, I'll just go outside and fix it. No worries. Be back in 30 minutes, honey. Like,
It's pretty awesome. It's I but I made the mistake. Now I have a massive honeydew list that I have to deal
oh
with
yeah,
now. Yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
and I can't cop out and say I don't know it, because if I don't, we have a team that does. So I made the mistake of having my wife take my building science training. So she's really
Oh
locked
no,
in. Yep, and I can't razzle dazzle her anymore. So it's a good feeling, but it's also, who wants to work when they get home? You
yeah,
worked all
exactly.
day. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Time for the dishes. It's like I'd rather go work on the condenser
There
outside.
you
I'll
go.
be yeah. There you go, right?
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, to kind of wind down, just I wanted to learn a little bit more about you on a personal level. Like, what do you like to do when you're not working, and kind of what's your family dynamic, right? Like we just talked about kids, but I don't think anyone knows how many kids you have or whatever. So,
Sure. Yep. Family of four. My wife Jade. Say hello to her. Brynn Jr.
yeah,
and Braxton. Yep. Our big pastime. We like to travel. So
nice.
we like to go everywhere we can together as a family and explore new places. So we like to travel. Pastime for me. I was pretty active in sports. So I still power lift. So that's my
Oh,
thing. If I
nice.
can cut out some time, and that's how I kind of relieve the stress from the business, is to still actively power lift. So that's one of my favorite things to do. And outside of that, it's kind of ingrained. Like the business and builder science is into our family. So it's like we're able to blend like a conference and a vacation together just because it has all of our interests. So that's our pastime.
Yeah, I knew you and I looked a lot alike with our powerlifting skills because I know you couldn't tell, but I powerlift a lot too. No, that's fantastic, dude. I don't even really know what else to say. I'm kind of infatuated with the business that you have in terms of like a training side, an educational side, the way you approach homeowners. I think is speaks volumes. I think it's a big deal, especially in the HVAC space these days, of being approachable and being able to speak to homeowners in a not salesy way,
Yep.
like you were mentioning. So all of that makes sense. I love having you on, man. It was really nice to meet you. I don't have anything else to kind of talk through. If you have anything you want to say, or how people can learn more about you,
Sure.
the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me, Kyle, and the Smart AC family. A couple things. If anybody want to take any of our training classes, they can reach out to us at HVACU's website. So that's www.hvactrain, so HVACTRAIN.com. And they'll find how to get into our in-person classes. They'll find out how to take some of our on-demand classes from the comfort of your home. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you search the Air Doctor, we'll pull up also TikTok. And then also US Heat Pump Summit. We are I'll be there as the keynote. I'm totally honored to do that. So I'll be speaking at the USC Pump Summit, and that's coming up here in September 15th to 16th 2026, and that's going to be at the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. So that's going to be a good time where we're going to be with contractors and other practitioners, just talking heat pumps, how to grow your business, best practices, and all that kind of thing. So I'll be the keynote speaker, and then I have a presentation coming up at that conference called Navigating the Heat Pump Jungle, how to get the heat pumps in correctly so you can best serve your customers.
Well, yeah, shout out to you, man. And for any contractor out there just getting started or wanting to learn how to better their business or expand their business, reach out to Brynn. He's the man. Any homeowners in the Michigan area, Air Doctors is the name of the game. And for me, I'm Kyle, the host. This is Beyond the Truck Roll podcast from SmartAC. If you want to learn more about SmartAC, you know exactly where to go. It's on my shirt, smartac.com. So thanks for having us, and thanks for listening, everyone.